Good afternoon, you wee bastards, and welcome back to War Thunder with Koala. So today, we're not yet able to cover Gaijin's April Fool's event for this year, because as Fly said earlier today, the event was full of bugs and has been held off a day so that these bugs can be corrected. So well done to Gaijin for their transparency, saying, hey guys, this is not ready yet, so instead of giving you a buggy piece of shit to play, we're going to take the extra time and make sure everything is working properly when we do release the event. So, no April Fool's content today, but that is absolutely fine with me, because oh boy, I have a lot of content to make apparently, as the first dev blogs for update 1.89 were just released. I've actually been chatting with one of the developers who's been giving me some inside information about the new content, some little tidbits, so what we're going to do today is go through, not everything, but some of the most interesting vehicles that have been confirmed for next patch, which will be titled Scramble, and if that title and the thumbnail of this video didn't already let you know, this update will feature primarily modern jets as the focus. This is very exciting news, but what I'm going to do this video is cover some of the other additions first, and then we'll move on to the new jets. Sound alright? Bro. So first up, the T-90A, the other vehicle from 2017's April Fool's event, will be coming back to join its brother, the Leopard 2A5. I'm sure we all knew this was coming. Lads, with so many new vehicles, I'm going to try to be brief here, but basically what you need to know is that this will be a slightly slower T-80U, but with more effective armour and smaller weak spots, as well as some more advanced shells like the 3BM46 Sphinx. It will also have its Stora active protection system modelled to a degree, so in-game what will happen is that any laser that hits you, be that from a rangefinder or helicopter's missile, you will receive a warning and be able to hit a button which will turn your turret in the exact direction of the beam and fire a smokescreen completely obscuring your tank. Now, no other tanks have been confirmed yet for this patch, but just keep in mind that not only does Gaijin obviously want to spread out the dev blogs between now and the patch's dev server, but some of these assets are actually not quite finished. So what I think Gaijin has done is, in a way of apologising for not having the April Fool's event out on time, they've rushed to give us a sneak peek at the next major update instead and get us all hyped up early, which is absolutely fine by me. So any images you see here that are lower resolution than you might be used to for dev blogs, just accept that these will be fixed by the time the dev server hits. Next, the AH-64 Apache will be added to the American helicopter tree. That's right, America will no longer suffer at top tier like they always have. They'll finally get a good helicopter, which should outcompete the Tunguska. Specifically, the model of the Apache we're getting is the AH-64D Apache Longbow, which will improve on the AH-1C Viper by virtue of its ability to carry the AGM-114L Longbow Hellfire missiles, which have a millimetric wave or basically radar guidance system, meaning that they have a massive range and will auto home in on targets, or in other words, they're fire and forget air-to-ground missiles. We also have the 30mm chain gun and plenty of other ordnance options for this bad boy, so don't you lads worry about the stock ground. Here's another big part of the game that will be added in update 1.89, playable self-propelled artillery vehicles, as you can see here with the American M109 Paladin. This is a self-propelled 155mm howitzer first developed in the early 1960s. Now obviously SPAs will be very different to play than say a tank destroyer, so Gaijin has said that this type of gameplay will come with several new mechanics to make it both immersive and enjoyable without being invasive to the current gameplay style of War Thunder Ground Forces, and I have had it confirmed that this new type of vehicle will come to all nations across the tiers eventually, with several older vehicles of this type coming to, say, the World War II tiers of the game this patch. The M109 is just the only one we've had confirmed so far. Just a little bonus Easter egg, you'll notice that this M109 actually has its lights on. That's right, we'll have the ability next patch to use tank lights, including the big ones on the front of Russian MBTs. Really not going to change up the gameplay a great deal, except in night battles. It's more of a cool visual gimmick like the ammunition ejection of the T-72, but it will be something for players to have fun looking at, say, while the last enemy teammate is flying around in an aircraft wasting time, or landing and bailing out, or just hiding somewhere in a tank, and all you can do is wait for the ticket bleed. It's really nice to see Gaijin fixing issues like that by giving us something to look at. Now, why am I showing you a picture of a Sherman here? Well, this is obviously a new camo, actually a Belarusian camo for the Sherman Firefly, but mostly I want to show you what is obviously a new map for ground forces. You might be able to tell by the very Russian-style roof of this building back here, but this is actually part of the city of Grozny, which was assaulted by T-80 tanks in the First Chechen War of the mid-1990s. So this is post-Gulf War we're talking about here. The layout of this map will be fantastic for all players in my opinion, with a balanced mix of city-based close-quarter quarters combat and wide open fields with forests, hills and ridgelines, and even rivers and bridges, which will allow for long range sniping combat, obviously more realistic for these types of main battle tanks. The capture point layout will be one cap in the inner city, one cap in the surrounding landscape, and the third on the very edge of the city with minimal cover in the form of some smaller buildings that you'd expect to find on the city's outskirts. This means that a player who is only interested in close quarters combat and hates big maps with lots of hold down, camping and sniping can win the game without having to worry about any of that by occupying the city and the mid cap point, but at the same time, players who enjoy the realism of long range sniping and hold down defensive gameplay can also win the match without ever having to go into the close range combat that the inner city will offer. Real nice to see Gaijin finally adding an interesting and realistic map that offers diverse gameplay for all comers to enjoy. Another new part of the game, this time for everyone's favourite section of War Thunder, naval forces. That's right, battleships will be entering the fray in 1.89, with 2 confirmed so far, the very famous German Bismarck and Japanese Yamato, which obviously also means that the Imperial Japanese Navy will be coming this patch too, along with the Italian and French navies have had confirmed. These ships are huge, with massive guns, 3 times the size of the 6-inch guns found on something like the Brooklyn class we have in game currently, and Gaijin states that these guns will have the ability to one-shot smaller ships like destroyers with a mechanic similar to hull break, but reworked to be more immersive and realistic. Of course, they will be very big and slow, and have extremely long reloading times, but with so much armor and firepower and secondary guns that will mess up any destroyer or smaller boat, they'll definitely mess up your day if you try and engage them without a solid strategy. Before we get into the jets that I'm sure everyone's most interested in, other things that Gaijin states are coming this patch: a major rework to the economy, with research point and silver lion costs, and also repair costs being reduced, balanced and standardized, which, to quote Gaijin, will remove some of the nonsensical requirement values from our game and ensure balance in the hangar as well as in the match. RP cost for every single vehicle will be reduced by a percentage, and once again I'm reading what Gaijin said here, we wish for players to be able to access every part of our game. In the past, the most major aspect of the game was World War II era, but recently the game has progressed to focus on more modern battlefield icons, and so the length of gameplay time needed to reach these eras will be reduced heavily, allowing players a much high-speed road to top tier. That's obviously a bit of a translation error there. A much faster road to top tier is what I think they meant to say. The Chinese tech tree will be entering War Thunder as the 8th playable nation, obviously using mostly Soviet Russian tech, but with several unique variants never before seen in game, and some few completely unique designs, particularly in the top tier main battle tank front. Also, a big rework to RRB, which is fantastic news to hear, as god does that game mode need it. Bomber gameplay will be heavily reworked to make way for tier 6 and even tier 7 bomber aircraft in future patches. Objectives, map rotation, respawn mechanics, that'll be a big one, and many other changes. Too many to go through in this video, but maybe I'll do a separate one talking specifically about these changes once we know more about what they'll be like. New game modes for air battles, ground battles, and naval forces will come to help balance certain types of vehicles and increase interest in the game, and hopefully that'll bring back some older players who got sick of Rush B day after day. Realistic optics and fire control systems for ground vehicles will be modelled in this patch, along with many new graphic updates, sound updates, and new animations that will increase immersion, realism, and enjoyment of the game in all modes and tiers. Now it's time to get into the new jet aircraft, and this is going to be a very quick skim through. I'm definitely going to be making more in-depth devlog coverage videos over the next few days, going into detail about these aircraft's armament options and how they will work, their performance, and my predictions for them in game. But for now, let's just rattle off some names of the aircraft that Gaijin has confirmed so far. We'll start with some of the less extensive nations. Germany will get the Panavia Tornado, a Mark II capable multi-role fighter with interceptor and ground strike capabilities in equal measures. And France will be seeing variants of the Mirage, such as this, the Mirage 3, the main early fighter variant. I suspect many more variants of this aircraft to come, possibly even in the same patch, something like the more ground attack focused Mirage 4, and at later tiers the Mirage 5. Alright, I cannot stop myself anymore, let's just get right into it. America will be seeing this patch many new tier 6 and even new tier 7 jet aircraft. It seems like Gaijin is very keen to update the aviation part of the game to match the time frame of our tanks, so we'll be seeing tier 6 increased and tier 7 added all in this one patch. Obviously more advanced aircraft will complete Tier 7 in future patches, and once again, this is not all of the aircraft that will come this patch, just those that have been confirmed so far. First off, the one we've all been excited about, the F-4 Phantom. I'm sure everybody knows this one. Very fast, very capable Vietnam-era multi-role naval fighter. We're also going to see the F-104 Starfighter slightly earlier in the tech tree, of course from multiple different nations, all the different nations that use this aircraft along with the F-4. The F-14 Tomcat, god am I excited to play this one, and Gaijin states that it will have the wing folding ability that aircraft is known for, so kudos to them for that. At Tier 7, we will see the addition of modern jets like the F-16 Falcon and even the F-18 Hornet, which Gaijin states we will get more variants of in the future, and I can only think that they mean the F-A-18F Super Hornet. Obviously, the A-10 Thunderbolt too, relatively slow ground attack aircraft but armed to the teeth, and of course sporting that 30mm GAU-8 Avenger rotary cannon, which I cannot wait to absolutely mince some T-72s with. Russia will of course get their equivalent, the Su-25 Grach. They'll also see the F-4's main rival, the MiG-21 Biss, and then the MiG-25 Foxbat. One of the sickest names of an aircraft I've ever heard. Now last but not least is one of my favourite aircraft ever. Seriously, I didn't think this would ever be added to War Thunder, but now it's coming to Russia's Tier 7 tree within the next few weeks. The Su-27 Flanker. Oh my god. What a sexy aircraft, beautiful design from the cockpit to the tail, a highly manoeuvrable, very iconic jet fighter that I absolutely cannot wait to play in Update 1.89 Scramble. Also, Japan is getting their own version of the F-16, the Mitsubishi F2, and not only that, but if you look closely in some of these images, it looks like we're getting some new air maps, which we'll obviously have to if we want aircraft this fast and with these advanced types of weaponry, radar locking missiles that have massive ranges, and of course in future some bomber aircraft with speeds well in excess of Mach 2, and ordnance loads that match an entire squadron of Tu-4s. Now, there hasn't been anything announced for Britain yet, but my contact in Gaijin actually did send me this image file leaking some of the British additions for this patch, which I'm very keen to see, but I thought I'd wait until making this video so that we can get hyped together. Britain has some very signature additions that could come into the game this patch: battleships, helicopters, and especially jet aircraft like their own variant of the Tornado, the Harrier, and many others. So let's open up this image and check out exactly what we're getting for Britain in Update 1.89 Scramble. Oh god damn it!